Thank you, Jesse. Trevor Cooney and Michael Benajay, student athletes representing the Syracuse Orange. Michael Benajay and Trevor Cooney will join Coach Boeheim in the main interview room first. Yeah, I need like 10 of them. When North Carolina joins us, Coach Roy Williams will be accompanied by Bryce Johnson, Joel Berry, and Kennedy Meeks. The student athletes that do not join us here in the main interview room will be available for interviews in the locker room for a period of 30 minutes. The 30 minutes begins when the student athletes and Coach Boeheim of Syracuse arrive in this room. Zach is back. Zach is back. A few reminders for all of our reporters when joining us here in the main interview room. Please be sure to silence your cell phone. I'm checking mine right now. Please refrain from the use of any flash photography. Please refrain from the use of any video recording devices that includes mini cameras, handheld cameras, or camera phones. And that also includes any social media video, the opportunity to interview student athletes in the hallways or in the locker room, or the coaches in those situations as well as where you can shoot Vine video or Instagram video or Twitter video or Snapchat if you must. Just not in this room, please. No video recording of any kind that includes social media video. The exception is this camera crew to my left up toward the front. The satellite information is the same as it's been all day, all week, and will be all weekend. If you need that information, please see a representative from Hammond Communications in the back of the room or come and see me when we catch a break. Our All-America microphone stewards are Danny, Justin, Sierra, and Joe. They've been doing a terrific job all week. If you have a question, please raise your hand. One of those four individuals will bring you the microphone. Please remember to state your name and media outlet before you present your question. We'll begin things with the Syracuse Orange in just a few moments. Coach Boeheim once again will be joined by student athletes Trevor Cooney and Michael Biniget. When North Carolina head coach Roy Williams makes his way down to the main interview room, he'll be joined by student athletes Bryce Johnson, Joel Berry, and Kennedy Meeks. The student athletes not joining the head coaches and us in here are available for interviews in the locker room for a minimum of 30 minutes. We'll do our best to let you know when the locker room opens and closes. A good rule of thumb is when our Syracuse news conference will begin here in this room, it's a good idea to assume that the locker room is open for both teams at that time. I'm very disappointed in myself because I have no groupies for this press conference. I'm extremely disappointed. So upsetting. Those are former student athletes of mine when I was at Maryland in 2000, like 1999, 2000. Yeah, they're in the area, and they saw that I was in the area, so they hit me when I put some pictures up earlier. I shouldn't stand. Amy, someone from the football championship asked for my business card before, said he really liked the job I do at news conferences, something like that. Ask Feinstein. Anyone who thinks I would entertain that hasn't seen the cookie tray that I've seen all day today. Once again, in just a few moments, we'll be joined by Coach Boeheim and Syracuse student-athletes Trevor Cooney and Michael Biniget. Following Syracuse, the University of North Carolina head coach Roy Williams will join us here in the main interview room with Bryce Johnson, Joel Berry, and Kennedy Meeks. The student-athletes that do not join us here in the main interview room will be available for a minimum of 30 minutes in their respective locker rooms. You can interview them there. Where's Jesse? Jesse, do we have a hard out on the sat time tonight? Thank you. Syracuse has arrived. The arrival of student athletes from Syracuse to the interview room signifies that the Syracuse locker room is now open with the student athletes that will not join us here in the interview room. Syracuse locker room is now open for a minimum of 30 minutes. Okay. Fellas, great job, guys. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to begin with questions for the student athletes from Syracuse. Michael Benajay and Trevor Cooney are joining us right now. Their teammates are in the locker room also waiting for your questions, and we'll be joined by Coach Boeheim in just a moment. We're looking for the first question for the student athletes from Syracuse. If you have a question, please raise your hand. Send one of the microphone attendants in your direction. First question for Trevor or Michael, who are kind enough to join us this evening. There's one in the center of the room. Give Danny a minute to get over there. And Mike, go ahead.
Mike Waters from the Syracuse Media Group for both Trevor and Mike. You had such an amazing run to get here, kind of unexpected. But still, after losing this game, I was just wondering if you could kind of sum up your feelings and your thoughts on tonight and maybe this whole tournament.
We'll ask Trevor to take that first, please, followed by Mike.
I mean, obviously it's tough right now. But I'm so proud of these guys. I mean, coming into the tournament, we weren't even supposed to be in there, what you guys said, and then we just kept battling and fighting. And we were down in so many games throughout this tournament. And, I mean, you got to give credit to North Carolina. They're a hell of a team, and they played really well today. And for us to beat them, we would have had to play perfect, and we just didn't today.
Mike, can you take that one as well?
I'm a little crushed right now. Like Trev said, I think we left it all on the floor tonight. You know, we had a lot of people step up, out of position. DeJuan Coleman played big for us down the stretch. Malachi and Tyler Light have been great all year. I'm just happy that we were able to get this far.
Continuing with questions for the student athletes joining us from Syracuse. If you have a question, please raise your hand. We have one all the way in the front and all the way to the right. Remember your name and media outlet first.
Seth Goldberg from ESPN Syracuse. And Trevor, obviously a tough loss, but what's it mean for you personally to be able to go out on a performance like that, 22 points and shooting 50% from the field?
Doesn't matter to me. I mean, I play the game to win. I don't. If I play well, that's fine. If I don't, that's fine. I play to win, and we couldn't, and that's what hurts the most.
Continuing with questions for Trevor or Michael from Syracuse. If you have a question, please raise your hand. There's one in the center of the room, all the way to the back.
Jerry Lee Woodley Jr., The College Sports Report. Trevor, just talk about when you all got this score down to less than 10 and you all were looking to make a run. Just take us through that sequence.
Yeah, I mean, we fought back. We got it within 9 or 10. And, I mean, that's where we needed our press to work, and we needed our traps to work, and we need to get some steals. And it's tough to turn North Carolina over, and it's tough to get steals against them. And we weren't able to make those plays. And if we were able to make those plays, we would have got back into it. But we just weren't able to make those.
We're joined now by Coach Boeheim, but we'd like to continue questions for the student athletes only for the next few minutes. If you have a question for Trevor or Mike, please raise your hand. Is there a final question for Trevor or Mike? I'd like to thank Trevor and Michael for joining us here in the main interview room. They're going to head back to the locker room, which remains open. Howie, did you have one? Okay, before they go, Howie.
Howie Gasoy, New York Post. Trevor, obviously this just happened. I'm sure it's a lot to take in, but just what are the emotions now knowing that you played your final game?
It's tough. I mean, I was very fortunate to be a part of the Syracuse family for 5 years, and I wouldn't trade it for anything. And this was a hell of a run to go out on. And, I mean, this was a really tough game to play. North Carolina's a really good team. And, I mean, it's really tough right now.
Any final questions for Trevor or Michael before they return to the locker room? Thank you, fellas. Trevor and Michael are going to join their teammates back in the Syracuse locker room. It's still open for your questions.
I'll make a statement. I told the players after the game that, I'm really proud, more proud of this team than I think any team that I've ever coached, and I've always been pretty proud of our teams. This team battled through an awful lot of things. I think on the court, the 3 freshmen, day one, having not played, the 2 seniors had to be very strong all year. We had a lot of on-the-court adversity. We just struggled different times this year. It would have been very easy to have a horrendous year this year with everything, all things considered. And the way they responded after when we started 0-4 in the league, the way they responded on the road and winning at Wake Forest and Duke, and then coming home and winning those games, these 2 seniors were just incredible. They've battled every game. The first 2 games in the tournament, we did some really good things. The next 2 are 2 games that according to those statistical things, that we should have lost to Gonzaga and we should have lost to Virginia based on where we were in the games. They wouldn't let that happen. They made some unbelievable plays. Tonight we had a bad start. We missed some free throws that we can't miss, and we made a couple unforced errors in the first half. You can't do that against North Carolina. They're just too big and strong and good. They've got a great basketball team. I thought we battled back again. When you get down 16 against them, usually it goes to 25. We got it back, cut it to 7, but we just couldn't never quite get where we could get it in range. But we wouldn't have to play a perfect game against them, but we'd have to shoot better than we did tonight. The ironic thing in the tournament is we've not played well on offense in any game we played. It's ironic that we could be here shooting 41% from the field in 5 tournament games. And I just think they have a lot of heart. And I give my team a tremendous amount of credit for being able to do what they've done. I don't know how. I really am not sure how. I'm going to be like a football coach now. I'm going to have to look at the tapes more closely to figure out how we got here, because I'm not really sure. And I have looked at the tapes. I'm still not quite sure.
If you have a question for Coach Boeheim, please raise your hand. Our microphone attendants will make their way in your direction. Let's start right up front toward the center. Remember your name and media outlet.
Jesse Doherty with the Daily Orange. Jim, obviously Trevor's meant so much to you guys over the last 5 years. Great performance tonight from him. Can you sum up, what he's meant and maybe how he went out tonight and maybe how impressed you were?
Trevor played unbelievable tonight. I hoped that he would play a little bit more like that some other games this year, but he played great. He really played great tonight. And, he's been solid all year. In the tournament, he's the only guy that shot well in the tournament. He's been consistent, 50%, close to 50% from the three-point line, and he's just played really well. But Mike making the change that he had to make, and Mike just couldn't make anything tonight. He played well. He played just like he always does. He just couldn't get the ball to go in the basket. He had great shots, great opportunities. It was just one of those days when he could not get the ball to go in the basket, and we needed that. If he'd have made shots like he normally does, we'd have been right there. But whether we could beat Carolina or not, I'm not sure. I'm not sure if we could. But those two guys, unbelievable years.
Next question's in the second row toward the left.
Jim Bryan, Smith Houston Chronicle. What's it like for you personally to have this season end this close to the national championship after everything you've been through with the suspension this year? And the second part of that is, will you consider retiring, or how do you look at your future
Why
as a
do
college
you guys
coach?
always ask me that? Really?
Because you've had a rough
Did
year.
you ask Roy? Ask Roy. Make sure you ask Roy when he comes in too. I haven't had a rough season. I had a great season. I don't think it was rough at all. I think it was, we had our ups and downs on the court, but that happens a lot. I mean, that's not unusual. I feel, as far as what I feel about this year, I'm more satisfied than I've ever been in any year that I've ever coached, with the possible exception of winning the year we won it all. But other than that year, I'm more excited about. I'm more proud and more happy, whatever the word is I'm looking for, satisfied with what this team has done than any year that I've ever coached. So I guess what my answer to your question is, I'm happier now at the end of this year than any time I've ever coached, and I'm really not that tired. I had 30 days off, so shoot, I could probably go another 30.
Next question's all the way in the back in the center.
Jerry Lee Woodley Jr., the College Sports Report. Coach, if you can, you mentioned about getting the score down to under 10, then you dropped the press on them.
Yeah.
Just take us through that sequence from sidelines.
Well, I don't think we can press this team, so we were going to, because that was the only way to get back in it. But it's kind of like, if I'm on top of the Empire State Building, I don't have to jump to know it's going to hurt. So I don't need to press North Carolina to know it's going to hurt. They're just, veteran guys. They're good against pressure. They like pressure. They score against pressure. But we had to, and they missed one, and we got it. We had one chance there. We got one, but they're not gonna miss too many of those. But you got to try. There's no sense in just losing by 12. You got to try to get it back, and we try to get it when we first pressed when we got it to 7, and we didn't get it set up, and they got an easy layup. But you try to get we're trying to get a couple steals to get it down, and it wasn't a realistic expectation. Like if I did the statistical analysis of it, I would say our chances to press North Carolina were in the lower 10% range.
On the right side, Coach, to the right of the aisle.
Coach Ryan Willett with ESPN San Antonio. Over here, Coach.
Yeah, I can't find anybody.
That's okay.
Oh, okay.
There you go.
All right.
There was a lot of talk this week about the difficulty shooting in this stadium with this setup. How did that affect tonight's game?
Well, I watched a little bit of Villanova. It didn't seem to bother them too much. Good shooters can shoot anyway. It doesn't matter. Good shooters can shoot. I thought, we obviously were going to try to guard the three-point line against North Carolina, and we did. I mean, we got them a little unbalanced. And then they started to miss, and sometimes that kind of keeps going. We probably could have gotten back in it if they'd not made any threes, but sooner or later they're going to make one or two, and they made 3, and that was all they needed. But good shooters are going to shoot wherever it is. I think I don't think it. You do shoot better in smaller buildings. There's no question. Backgrounds help. In the Atlantis tournament's a small building. We shot 50% from the 3. The rest of the year we shot about 30. So, buildings do matter a little bit, but good shooters are going to make shots.
into the front row in the center.
Matt Schneiman with the Daily Orange. Jim, when Mike fouls out to end his career, what are you feeling as a coach to player and just how he developed over this year as a player?
As I said many times, Mike's made the most improvement of any player I've ever coached, and I've had a lot of guys that made big strides. He's to be able to play the point from where he came from. You know, he's done an unbelievable job for us. And you know, the sad thing about tonight's game, he got the best, probably some of the best shots he's gotten all year. I mean, he got into great position. You know, he made a couple mistakes in the first half, a couple turnovers, but that was it. He got great position, but I mean, he willed us to win the Gonzaga game. I mean, he just went and got it and put it back in, and you know, he's done that so many times this year. The North Carolina State game, we wouldn't have gotten the tournament like people thought, for sure, if you know, he hadn't gone crazy and just won the game by himself. And the other thing I think Mike Greenberg's probably right. I think we should play 2 out of 3. Maybe we can get Carolina tomorrow, but I'm not sure I'd like that anyway.
We have time for one final question for Coach Boeheim. If there is one, please raise your hand. There's one on the right side, all the way in the front.
Coach Steve Foster from ESPN San Antonio. I saw the reference on Pearl on the warm-ups. Dwayne the Pearl Washington. Is there some significance that you had for him or that meaning for this game?
Well, Pearl's been battling for a long time now, and he's not doing well. And the Syracuse people have rallied behind him. Our players have rallied behind him, and they've chosen to wear those shirts. We never even talked about it. You know, they just have chosen to do that. Pearl's probably the most beloved figure in Syracuse basketball history. He just is an unbelievable guy, and to see him battling through this like he is right now is a very difficult thing. And I think our players have honored him, and I think it's something that he appreciates.
We'd like to thank Coach Boeheim for joining us.
Thank you.
Congratulate the Orange on a great postseason. You guys are trading now? It's because Bryce is my go-to guy. I'm going to feed him the ball. We're joined now by head coach Roy Williams of the North Carolina Tar Heels, as well as student athletes Joel Berry, Kennedy Meeks, and Bryce Johnson. We'll ask Coach Williams to tip things off with an opening statement. Then we'll take questions first for our student athletes only.
Okay, opening statement. Needless to say, we're ecstatic, but I'll get something out of the way first. I really wish Stuart Scott was here tonight. And I really wish Dean Smith and Bill Guthridge and my best friend in Chapel Hill, Ted Seagroves, were here. It's been the last year and a half. It's been awfully difficult because of all of that, but they're up there smiling somewhere and having a good time, and Stewart's saying booyah, so I like that part. Second part I'd like to get rid of, I was back there listening to Jimmy's questions. Jimmy told you to stop asking him about retirement, said, ask Roy, you have asked me that question 5 times since I got into town. If I'm going to retire, I think I'll retire in the next 2 minutes. Now, how good do you think the chances are of me going to retire in the next 2 minutes? So don't ask that stupid question either. Other than that, it's a great afternoon, a great night. I screamed as loud at my players in 1/32. Thank you, Bryce. It's an honor for you to say good job. But had a timeout because we let a loose ball roll on the floor, and Syracuse got after it more than we did. Had 2 turnovers and 3 possessions. And then we had a rebound that comes out, and we had 4 guys stand there and look at it, and Syracuse got that one. And so my pulse went up quite a bit. My heart rate went up quite a bit. But after that, Joel Berry, Marcus Page, Bryce, Kennedy, those guys really did a nice job. And couldn't be prouder for a team than I am for this team right here. We beat a Syracuse team that had been great down the stretch, and it's very difficult for us to play. We didn't shoot the ball in the hole on the 3-point line in the first half. Jimmy Gray asked me coming out at halftime if we were going to keep shooting them. I say yes, because North Carolina tries to have good balance of inside and outside. And the 2 biggest baskets of the game are when they cut it to 7 and Marcus makes a 3, and I think Theo makes a 3 right behind it. But these guys up here were sensational, and I couldn't be having a more fantastic ride than I'm having right now.
We're looking for questions for our student athletes only at this time. If you have a question for the Tar Heel student athletes, please raise your hand. We're looking for the first one, and we have one all the way in the front, in the center. Name and media outlet, then your question.
David Melanger of Philly Sports Live. This is for the players only. What are you guys' thoughts about playing Villanova on Monday night?
Kennedy, please, first, followed by Joel, then Bryce.
Villanova is a great team. They're coached by a great coach, and they do some of the similar things as we do. Our main goal is to play the similar game to when we played tonight and get the ball inside and really try to pound it in there and knock down our free throws.
Joel?
I think they do a great job of taking pride on the defensive end. As you saw tonight, they won by, I don't know how much, 44, but I think they did a great job of taking Oklahoma out of what they wanted to do. So, we just got to be able to move the ball, do what we always do, and get the ball inside, play inside out, and everything else will be good. So.
And Bryce?
Just like those guys said, we just got to go out there and just play our game. I mean, those guys are a really good team. They're very hot right now. They really held, one of the best players in the country to little or nothing today. And, they all play together. They really spaced the floor. We just got to go out there and play. We're going to have the same mentality that we did tonight against Syracuse. They have a great shooter in Chris Jenkins, and just got to go out there and just play our game.
Continuing with questions for the student athletes only, just to the right of the aisle.
Luke DeCock, Raleigh News and Observer. Joel, why do you think your dribble penetration and your attacking on the perimeter was so effective tonight when that's something they usually handle pretty well?
Yeah, their 2-3 zone is really wide. It's different than another team, because the other teams, they usually just go in it just to stop or slow down the team that they're playing against. But I just tried to give them a ball fake, whether it was off a pass and a shot fake or faking a pass. And then I just tried to get inside. And like I said, our big man did a great job of showing their hands on the baseline. And that's what we had success at, whether it was Bryce throwing it down to Isaiah or to Kennedy. So, it's just this time it was penetration that made the big man in the middle step up, and we were able to get it on the baseline.
Next question for the student athletes is going to come all the way in the back, all the way in the center.
Jerry Lee Willard Jr., The College Sports Report. Bryce, just talk about, right here, just talk about the sequence when Syracuse got the score down less than 10, and you all had to make buckets.
Get buckets? I like that.
To make buckets, that's right.
Well, in that situation, we expected them to press, and that's what we wanted them to do. They wanted to try to speed us up. We had a couple bad turnovers here and there, but at the end of the day, that's the way we want to play the game. If you look at the results of the game, we got a bunch of layups out of that situation. We did a great job of just playing the way we know how to play, and just play with a lot of poise and not turning the ball over.
Continuing with questions for the student athletes, if there are any. If you have a question for the North Carolina student athletes, please raise your hand. If there are no more questions, we'd like to thank Kennedy and Joel and Bryce for joining us. They're going to head back to the locker room, which is still open. Did you have one? We have one? All right. Let's go back to the middle.
Kiera Luck with Black Sports Online. This is for all of you. Talk about the balance between you guys. You guys have all had 15, 16 points. What was it like to be balanced out so well tonight?
And let's start this one with Kennedy down at the end.
I think we're a capable team of doing it every night. I think those guys are great scorers. We did a great job of executing, and when we're sharing the ball, I think the sky's the limit for this team. Coach always puts us in the right positions to do so, and that's why we've been pretty balanced the last couple games.
Same question for Joel.
Yeah, that just goes to show the balance of our team that, you know, we don't have to throw it to Bryce all the time to get some baskets. We don't have to throw it to Kennedy or Justin or Marcus or myself. It just shows the balance, and that's what kind of team we are. We're not all about ourselves. We're all about just making a good play, and whether it's someone else scoring or you getting the basket yourself. But overall, it just shows the balance that our team has on the offensive end.
Final thought on that from Bryce.
Oh yeah, I mean we're a team that we love each other. We don't really care who gets the credit. I mean tonight, and we love to share the ball with each other. I mean we all just know the way we want to play. Where each other wants the ball, and I mean Joel did a great job of looking and finding everybody in open spots. Marcus was hitting some big time open shots. I mean if you're going to leave Marcus Page open, I'm quite sure he's making a great deal of those. And I mean even like guys like Theo really stepped up there and made some big time shots, including Joel too. Joel played some terrific minutes in the first half, and I mean. That's what we want to play. We just want to play together. I mean, it's a team sport. I mean, we don't really care who gets the most points. It's just we'd rather it be spread out the way it was today.
Any final question for the student athletes from North Carolina? All right, we'd like to thank once again Kennedy, Joel, and Bryce. They're going to head back to the locker room, which is still open for a few more minutes.
Yeah, right.
We're looking for the first question at this time for Coach Williams, and there's one all the way in the back on the left side of the aisle.
Coach John McCann with the Herald Sun in Durham. We love to second guess your coach, whether it's, you know, put Marcus Page back on the ball, whether it's take Kennedy Meeks out of the starting lineup, but you stuck to your guns. How much of that, you know, for Kennedy to have the success he had tonight, how much of that during the season was total confidence in your guys versus a coach hoping that his guys would get it together?
Well, John, take this the way it's intended, not to be as critical, but I'm a hell of a lot smarter about basketball than you guys are. I mean, I'm serious. What do you do after basketball season's over with? You cover baseball. What do you do after baseball's over with? You cover football. I don't take any breaks. And, you know, this year more than ever, I heard announcers and writers question things more than I've ever heard. And one of the other guys said, you know, we're not in the locker room. We're not at practice every day. And, you know, if you ask me if I'm as smart a sports fan as you, I'd say probably not, because I don't work on those other sports. But I do see our guys in the locker room every single day. And the last question, and I wasn't paying attention to know who asked it, but we want to be a balanced team. I've got to have some contributions from everybody that plays. And it is something to listen to or read. I haven't read very much recently this year, to be honest with you. I haven't read many articles, but that's the best answer. You know how many practices we've had? 98 practices. And not just you, because John, I like the way you asked the question. You didn't hit the wrong buttons or anything. You did it nicely. How many of you guys came to any of our practices? Michael came to one. Somebody else came to. But I mean, you think about that. I would never criticize somebody about something that they know a heck of a lot more about. Bill Guthridge had the best statement: do not condemn thy neighbor unless you've walked in his moccasins for 2 full moons. All right? Now, I have to explain that to my guys to understand what moccasins is and how long moons last. But it is. It's journalism to a certain degree today. And so it wasn't stubbornness. It was intelligence. You know, and you know, if we get beat Monday night, it's not going to be stubbornness Monday night. It'll be because Villanova played better. But you think about it in those terms right there, and you know, when I retire in 2035, okay, I want to be an announcer 1 year, because I want to be the only announcer to never criticize coaches acting like I know more than they do and they've been with their team every day. But thank you for asking the question the way it is, John. Thank you.
To the center of the room, Coach, for Nancy.
Nancy Armour, USA Today Sports. Roy, after the two games last week, I'm sure you probably knew that Syracuse was going to press late in the second half. What did you see on film or from having played them that you knew you would be able to do and have better success, obviously, than Gonzaga or Virginia?
Well, I've been around long enough to play Jimmy when his teams pressed a lot, not just late game scenario like they have the last 2 weeks. When we played Jimmy, gosh, in 2000 or 2001, no, we played him in 96 or 97 in the Elite Eight game, and they pressed at that time. So I've always thought of him as being a coach who could really press. He'd get his teams to do it the right way. So every game we've played Syracuse in my entire life, we've worked on press offense a couple of days before practice. And the other thing is we work on press offense every day. And so for us, it was something that we thought was going to be happening at some point. We hoped, because that probably meant we were ahead. And so we do it all the time, and we try to play an up and down full court game. We do a thing called press offense defense game almost every day.
To the front row in the center.
Philly Sports Live. Same question I asked the players. What are your initial thoughts about playing Villanova on Monday night?
Don't have any, really. I said it out there in the public. Marty Schottenheimer's a great friend, and he always said, let's enjoy the blankety blank out of it until midnight and then worry about what comes after that. I did not watch 1 second of the Villanova-Oklahoma game today. Even after we got here in the arena, I told them, give me a place where there's no TV. Now, I read the Syracuse scouting reports for times 61, 62, and 63 because I thought that was more important to me. But, you know, one of my coaches, either Coach Robinson or Coach McGrath, had Villanova. Coach Davis had Syracuse, so I know one of those guys had it. They'll give me a scouting report early tomorrow morning before practice, and we'll make out a practice that'll help us do some things and get to know them a little better. But other than that, I know Jay Wright, and I love Ryan, the way he plays. Chris Jenkins, I remember going into Nate's home and recruiting Nate and really liking him, and even telling someone that if he didn't sign early, I might try to see if we could get that undersized four-man that I thought was going to be a big-time college player, and that was Chris.
In that second row toward the center.
Roy Bryan Smith, Houston Chronicles. Speaking of Jim and your guys' legacies, what's it like in the game, pregame, even postgame, passing him, knowing that how many more times will you guys match up together on this stage at this level?
We're both old enough that we'd like to match up with anybody on this stage. We don't care if it's matching up with either the other one or not, but I have a tremendous amount of respect for Jim. They beat us in the elite game, as I said, when I was at Kansas. They beat us in the national championship game in 2003. As I was walking off at halftime, there were three guys that yelled down at me, and I saw who they were. Hey, Williams, you remember 2003, don't you? But their rear ends weren't there when I came off the court at the end of the game because I was looking for them. But it's coaching, and he's a guy that's won so many games and done it. And I've said this before: Syracuse was okay before Jimmy got there, but Jimmy's taken them to levels they never were before. So I think you got to be congratulated for doing that. And I've always thought it was something special. The guy stayed in the same place the whole time.
All the way in the back toward the center.
Jerry Lee Willard Jr., The College Sports Report. Coach, preparedness. 50 points in the paint and 16 points off of turnovers. How much is that a point of emphasis in practice on a daily basis?
One thing about playing someone before, you do get more information and you do know more about them. I wrote down 3 things on the board tonight. The first one was attack their defense with great spacing and great movement and great offensive rebounding, because we had played Syracuse before, and we had some success at Syracuse by getting the ball inside, perhaps more than we did in Chapel Hill. I said box outs. It's got to be our greatest box out game of the year. And they hurt us a couple of possessions, 2 or 3, a flurry of 2 or 3 shots, but I think we did a better job of boxing out. And then the third thing was know the personnel. Some guys, they set a screen and they're going to slip the screen all the time. Some guys set a screen and they're going to screen. Other guys like Leiden may set the screen and then spin out for 3. Our guys really did a good job of what we gave them in the scouting report, and tendencies. They got tendencies on us too, but I was really proud of the way our guys listened to our scouting report and did the things on the court.
On the right side to the right of the aisle, Coach.
Coach Steve Foster, ESPN San Antonio. Went to the open practice, and was it you or the players that came up with the dunks at the end, and how has that brought the camaraderie together for some guys that are freshmen all the way through seniors for your team this year?
Until 2002, 2003, I used to practice in front of the public because then they gave you about an hour and 10 minutes. And then one time they cut it to 45, and you can't get anything done in that. So when they cut it to 45, and I think now it's 50 or something, I don't think you have enough time. So we go practice at Rice for an hour and a half that morning. And then when we came in to practice here in front of the public, I just wanted them to get a lot of shots up and 5 or 6 seconds to go, let them dunk and do what they want to do. It's what I wish I could do. The only thing is I told Isaiah that he could not try to dunk from the foul line like he had done a couple of weeks earlier because his ankle's been bothering him the last couple of times. But that's it's fun for the guys, and it's fun for me. Theo tried some weird dunk, and I hurt my knee trying to jump up to get off the floor to help him, so I told him not to try that one anymore either.
We have time for 2 more questions. Let's go to Zach.
Zach Johnson, Sports Illustrated Kids. What do you try to teach your players besides playing basketball, and how did that contribute to your great win tonight?
Zach, I think if something's really important to you, it's got to be really important. Don't just say it. As I said earlier, I went wacko at one time out because the ball was rolling across the floor, and we had somebody that didn't go after the ball, and Syracuse did, and they pick it up and they score 3. So I've always said and tried to point to our guys, if it really does mean something, then act like it does. Don't just say it. You got to work to get it. Then if you do achieve it, you'll even feel better about it. But I hope that I've taught them something other than just how to box out or shoot free throws or whatever. Thank you.
It's time for our final question of the evening, and that goes to Mike on the left of the aisle.
Roy, Mike DeCourcy from Sporting News. When Malachi hit the 3 to cut it to 7 after you guys had been up 17, you needed obviously to get a bucket there. Does it mean more to have Marcus make that shot given what he can mean when he's on?
At that moment, I wanted somebody in North Carolina uniform to make it. But there's no question I got really excited because he had done so many good things and hadn't been able to make a shot, and that was the first 3 our team made. I got a little excited on the sideline at that, and you think about it, and if I had time to reflect, I'd say yes, that it couldn't be more appropriate that it was Marcus Page that did that because he's just been sensational for us all year long. And somebody, all the mock drafts and everything like that, they're not listing that guy. Somebody's going to get a guy that's going to be in the NBA 10 to 12 years, and I'm going to be happy to watch him.
We'd like to thank Coach Williams for joining us
Thanks,
here in the
guys.
main interview room. We'll see you tomorrow, Coach. Thank you. Congrats again. Congrats, Kirsch. Jesse, what time do we start tomorrow? 1 o'clock with Nova? I'd imagine. Ladies and gentlemen, we want to thank you for joining us all evening long here in the main interview room. We'll begin with the Villanova News Conference of the day tomorrow, Sunday at 1 p.m.